My next guest is now with Monster Bass, and I think most anglers need to remember Monster Bass is not well. When you think of Monster Bass, it's not just a monthly subscription box. They are full of tackle, and they are always at really good prices. But now they have a new plethora of tackle, lures, storage rods, rod sleeves, terminal tackle, and more available on their website, monsterbass.com. And like I said, it's a lot less expensive. And if you go there right now, there's some unbelievable discounts for Christmas. This is my boy, Mike Dove. How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Steve?
Not too bad. My gosh, we have known each other for a couple minutes, I think.
Yeah, a while now.
Yes. Before I even get going, you are now with Monster Bass. When did you make that move over?
This during the summer. Well, we started talking. Me and Rick, the owner of Monster Bass, started talking in the middle of summer, and then started officially with him about the first week of September.
How do you like it?
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like the vision of where he's going with the company. I like the team he's got together, and also I like the idea of bringing products to market that are good value, and you can fish them right out of the box. There's no craziness to it, and it's not a bunch of plastics and a bunch of tentacles hanging out of it for $20 a piece with a 5x5 box, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's one of the things I think people don't realize. I think people think of Monster Bass and they think of it's only a subscription tackle box. It couldn't be further from the truth right now, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Rick, the Monster Bass started out that way. It's been 7 years ago, or yeah, almost 7 years ago, doing monthly subscriptions boxes. We get a little bit of everything in there, teach people how to fish, different levels. But in the last couple of years, he's created his own brand of products himself, and that's where I came in. We talked over the summer, knowing that I was no longer with a former company, and
Yep.
asked to come in and do an evaluation of his products, including colors and baits themselves, and asked what I think, and that was part of it. And then also, I'm now national sales manager for Monster Bass as well.
And there's we're going to talk about what I think is amazing, but there's a lot of new products. It's not just fishing lures, right? What else are you guys putting out there?
Oh, and that's the whole idea. What I really like about Monster Bass, he's creating this vision where more or less anything you really need to go fishing. They've got new boxes, storage boxes. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Fishing rods. We've got topwater baits, wire baits, soft plastics. We got everything you really need. And then also he's now the owner of Grande Bass as well. And then a full line of soft plastics there. And he bought another tungsten company to put on the umbrella of that. So just between all the brands that he's running, you just got everything you need to go fishing. And if not, we'll probably come up with it in the near future. We got a lot of new products coming in daily. We got a lot in development still coming out for next spring. So it's pretty interesting to see working for a company that has that vision, not just to stick with one thing and do a lot of things, but do them well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you going to have any say on the lures? Because I know you made that one lipless crankbait that was pretty phenomenal years ago. Are you going to try to keep pushing?
Yeah. And well, I know I have input, but I don't have final say, of course, and Rick, and rightly so. Rick's put a lot of time, money, and effort into Monster Bass, and he's also got a great mind for what does well, and also how to bring products to market, so to speak. But yeah, well, I'm happy to say I had a big input on the colors of existing baits, and we've worked hard on that here in the last couple months. But also the lipless that you're referring to, I created for other companies. I put a new twist on it, and a Monster Bass twist on a new lipless coming out this spring, and that was my design. Work with Rick about how to change it up, make it even better, see if we can make it even better than it was before. And as you know, it was a great seller and a great fishing lipless. And we put the new one we got coming out. I don't even have a name for it yet, but it's just about done. We got hanging swivels for the hook hangers again. So rotating hooks, pretty excited to see it and give that one a go again. And I know several vendors that we're talking to are excited about that as well, including we just finalized a deal with about 2 weeks ago now with the buyers at Tackle Warehouse. Me, Rick, and the buyers were together, had a meeting, and they've agreed for 2026 they're going to bring our products on a Monster Bass. And one of the things in particular they wanted to know about was that exact lipless you're speaking of.
Congratulations, that's good. I mean, it's one of the only liplesses I use. I mean, obviously I'll have to get some new ones, but it always sat up properly. That's exactly what I needed it to do.
And that's the hard part in all of it, because, you know, as I said, when I created the other one in the past, that I fished lipless my whole life as just there's always been something out there. Whether it be a Cordell Spot, the original Rattle Trap, then you had the KVD Red Eye Shad, Lucky Craft, and I took everything. I used to go to Canada twice a year fishing, and when I go there, I bring a dozen spinner baits and a dozen lipless, and that was about all I really brought up there. And so I got really used to it, and there was a lot of things I found with each of them as pros and cons. So I try to do the best we could to incorporate what exactly I wanted and try to eliminate some of those cons, in fishing a lipless. And I think we've accomplished that, and we're pretty damn close to that. Again, but I'm very biased. We're having a perfect lipless.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Actually, I think you're, and don't take this wrong, you're more of a tube fisherman than anyone I've ever met.
Funny you should
Let's be honest. Let's keep it real.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was just on another podcast here the other day talking about that very thing. It was Debo, and I showed him how to tube fish up north. Not that he didn't know how to tube fish, but how to do certain things with a tube.
Yeah.
And you're right, but that's come on the last 10, 15 years of me. But that's my catch-all, and I've been talking to Rick about that. I have nothing in the works right now with that, with a tube or anything, but that would be a really cool if either under the label of Grande or Monster Bass that we get some tubes going, because that used to be big in the day, but it's not talked about as much anymore, except for the guys up north. But, Denny Brower was a tube specialist. People forget about that, Seth Fighter still uses a tube. There's a lot of guys that still quietly use a tube. But the way, being from Indiana and where the stupid tube technique was created, I latched onto that and I haven't let it go. And it's funny because, I fished Bassmaster Opens, the Costa used to be the Toyota Series and Champions Tour and a lot of that. And they look at my deck, there's like 5 rods with identical tube rigs hooked on and a spinner bait and a lipless ready to roll.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think a tube is one of those underutilized baits that people don't use. I mean, I use them down here, definitely different than the way you use them, or I rig them differently, slightly different. And I think that people don't give it a fair enough attention or a fair enough chance when they go fishing with it. And with you really, when you and I fish,
you're right.
I'm just constantly watching what you're doing with that tube. And I was like, okay, I am not fishing a tube correctly. And then went back and I've learned how to fish it the way that it works for me and caught a lot of fish. But people see them and they're kind of like, that's old school. Well, you want to know what? Things catch fish nonstop. Any time of year they catch fish. That's the thing. It could be warm. It could be cold. They catch fish.
And I said, and it's funny you say that. I fished it from Florida to New York, from Minnesota to Texas. And my biggest bass in Texas came on a tube, and my biggest bass in Florida came on a tube. We're talking 12 and a half and 11.5 pound fish, That's because no matter what the weather is, I feel like I'm confident I can move that by whatever weather conditions or whatever conditions I'm facing. I can move it and create something with it, what the fish will react to, whether it be, whatever water column they're feeding on. I think I can make that look real, And that's what I love about lipless too. Same lipless and a spinnerbait and a tube are my just go-tos, because I can fish those 3 baits. All 3 of them fish in any water column. If you're patient and pay attention to what they're doing, you can fish all 3 in any water column. That's that's why they're so diverse, and that's why they've caught me so many fish.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Monster Bass.
All right.
So lots of new things coming out. I saw today, and I wasn't going to start it off like this, but I saw today they have some. You're making fishing rods. When did that start? And I hear there's a pretty darn good sale for Christmas.
Yeah, there is. They're called the Lunker Sticks. Lunker Sticks, excuse me. They've been out for a while, but the next generation, Lunker Sticks Pro, is actually on the website right now. And also, Monster Bass just came out with 2 models of BFS rods. Really nice high-end BFS rods, but they start from anywhere from $120, $149, I think, for the, I may be wrong, I haven't checked it lately, on the Pro, and then $229 for the high-end BFS rod. And they're right now on the website. Rick just wants to get them out and let people know what we're doing. Buy one, get one free. So you buy 2 high quality BFS rods for $229 right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
And the Lunker Stick Pro, I think I checked on the website last night. I think they're pre-ordering, but you can still get the deal. If you get it now, you can still get buy one, get one free on that. So you're talking about less than $75 a piece for a nice quality rod with a limited warranty.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, also, you're doing rods, but you're doing
the vaults, the new vaults. Yeah,
those. So this is almost identical. No offense to the. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of them. The yellow ones. I don't even know the name. My brain is just not going today.
It's very similar. Yes, it's very similar to it. Matter of fact, it's a lot like it, but we think we improved the handle, the closure on it.
Yeah.
It's waterproof. Rick's got a video on Monster Bass YouTube where he's throwing it in a pool. And we got a 3600, 3700 out right now. And those are individual already pre-cut slots, one hand handle on it. And the great thing about those are they're a great product. They're sturdy, they're solid, they're waterproof, but they're about half price of the competition right now. Half.
Probably a little bit more than half.
And so right now, it's an example. It's $19.95 is the 3700.
Yeah, this
one. And the 3600, I think, is $15.95. You go on our website, monsterbass.com, get some for Christmas, buy 2, get 2 free. So they come to less than $10 a piece.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. This is really, I mean, this month is going to be, there's going to be a bunch of new closer looks. This is one of the closer looks I did.
Those are doing so well with our vendors and also online that Rick has already went ahead and we started and should be in very soon is some technique specific storage boxes. I think we got a bladed jig box, we got a spinnerbait box, we got a very cool looking crankbait box that are again going to be half of what the competition is offering for.
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays you have to be very conscious of what you're spending when you're out there doing it. But the thing that I found interesting is that each one of these has its own little plastic piece, but they snap. I never, and maybe I'm wrong. On the edge doesn't snap in. They just kind of go in. So these kind of they're not stay there forever, but they kind of stay there. And then you have the rust resistant so that they have little holes in them to start off with. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, that's a little rust inhibitor box we put in there.
Yeah, and they won't rust as much either. But the seal is really impressive. I mean, this is heavy duty plastic that you guys are using for this, which is phenomenal. And then the smaller one, I mean, I just think it's great that you're being diverse, or Monster Bass is being diverse by not only creating the rods and then doing the tackle storage stuff and then doing other things like the rod socks and all this stuff that generally is much more expensive. I mean, those boxes, the edge boxes, can be $39.99. I saw some the other day that were $59.99. And I thought, well, what's the difference between the $39 one or the $40 one and the $60 one? Well, these ones are $19, $15, and they're as good, if not better, than the Edges, the Plano
Well,
Edge.
well, that's the hard part in marketing, and even when you set MSRPs and stuff, I think we're living in a society because there's so many cheap products out there. You got to be very careful on letting people know what the product is because it coming in such a low price. Some people assume that it's junk, and that's not the case.
No,
Rick has leveraged a lot of partnerships over the years, doing the boxes and other things to create this products at a great price. And that's a prime example of it right there. When he first started showing me those things, he told me what the MSRP was going to be. I said, they're going to be a home run.
yeah,
Obviously, because I've spent a fortune on tackle boxes over the years and stuff my boat or on bank fishing or whatever it is. And they just don't hold up and you spend a bunch of money. Every time you turn around, it seems like everything's going up in the fishing industry. And we're a prime example of what right now of you can get somebody into fishing or a guy, the tournament guy, and load up on our stuff, and you're not having to take out a loan. You know what I mean? So,
and there's
and
some. I mean, I have a bunch of the regular 3600s that aren't the sealing ones. You know, the ones that seal.
mhm.
I counted them the other day. I have 67 of them. So, and I say in the video that'll be out probably at the end of the week that when I go to Walmart, if I see them on sale for $9.99, I would pick up 4 or 5 or 6 of them
Right.
because they were on sale. These ones are drastically better. They seal, they breathe better. You won't get rust in all your stuff. I can't even tell you the amount of tackle I've lost from when I had the dinghy, my boat, and
Yeah.
water got in the back area, and it just ruined everything.
Well, what the guys don't understand, some guys say, well, I don't need uh, waterproof tackle storage because I have a boat. Well, you ever fished in the rain real heavy, or if you
Yeah,
have a problem in a compartment or
leak.
something, they did a leak, they just don't get it. Just, you look at some of this tackle nowadays, if you, uh, a box of crankbaits, you're talking about a lot of money. So why not spend 10, $20 on a product that's going to do it and keep them in good shape and not rust out everything or tear them up or whatever, let alone how good they are for the bank fishermen. And think about a kayak. You dump
Yeah,
over the kayak, your stuff's protected.
yeah, these will float, and you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about losing and then having to replace everything. Because I mean, in some of my boxes, like I don't have technically my tackle box. My nephew Jake took it.
Right.
I didn't realize he took it, but I'm going to use this new one that y'all sent me, and I'm going to make that my own. Like I asked for hooks from Daiichi and some other stuff
Mhm.
too, so I can get back and have my own tackle stuff. But it's a matter of confidence that you can put stuff in there, and you're confident that even if you're out in the rain, like because you know me, I like to fish in the rain.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about my stuff getting drenched and then getting water in it and then rusting, and that is a big thing for bank anglers like myself.
Well, yeah, even like I said, in a boat. Now I fish a lot, and some of my best days, especially in the North Country, and well, the hell down in Florida too. It's a pour down, and you open something up, and then everything's wet. You especially in the summertime, you get. I'm down there; it's hotter than hell, and it rains at least 5-10 minutes a day, and it goes away.
Yep.
That's nasty stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think this is a great. I think the tackle boxes, especially like $15 or $19 for the bigger one.
Mhm.
I think it's a really good price point, especially nowadays when really we are spending so much money on imports and tackle and all this stuff. Just
Well,
to save
that's
a few dollars is important.
Yeah, after we talk about what we got and some baits we'll go through here again, I'd really like to talk to you about where the industry is and what I think about and why monster bass stands out right now above all the rest of them. I've been around, as you know, a lot of companies. I work for a few companies, but more importantly, I also work for a manufacturer, a true manufacturer who had plants in China and Korea and whatnot. And I've been to 20 different factories throughout the world. And I can tell you, what things really cost and what by the time you get them to market, again, uh, the problem nowadays, people are trying to figure out tariffs and shipping costs and all that stuff. I get it. but a lot of stuff's being exposed to where it's not really made to where they're claiming it's made.
Yeah, we have to do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
I think you and I have talked about that for hours.
Well, the other day, Rick's also said this too, and Debo said it too. Sometimes I can go off on a tangent. You got to give me a 3-minute timeout anytime I go over 3 minutes.
I haven't talked to Debo in ages. That guy's one of the best guys in the world.
Yeah, he went up to Minnesota with us a couple years ago, and he had a blast. That's where I went down the rabbit hole with him in the boat about tubes, and he's been an addict ever since.
Yeah, good dude, good fisherman. Okay, so now you also have rod. I guess you can call these rod socks.
Flag jackets.
Is that what they're called?
Yep. Neoprene. They're awesome. We got 4 colors, both spinning and casting. And the retail's $9.95. Right now on the website, you can also buy 2 get 2 free.
Nice.
$5 a piece.
Yeah, that's cheap. I think I know they started doing the tackle bags.
Yeah.
I think I was their first one to ever do a review on their tackle bags. Do you know that?
There's a brand new one coming out. Brand new one. He's final testing on one. I just saw it. It closes in 2 different seals. It's pretty slick.
Nice. Now, I've been hypercritical about these things.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I think they're amazing for is if you have a young angler that you want them to try a bunch of new products that they can learn and get the bag or the box, however you want to say it, the bag, and then learn all the stuff that comes with it. Because, I mean, I think there's like 9 lures in this one.
Oh, he has several. That's what's great about.
Hey, hold on. Wait a minute. You gotta see this. Now that you're here, I realized there was something in here that was just should have been for you. Tubes.
Egg zone.
Yeah.
They make a good tube.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, keep going. But I think this is a great thing for a new angler, for someone who it's just starting, like your niece or nephew or son or daughter, that you can give them this and then they can try a plethora of new lures, baits, and learn how to fish differently.
Oh yeah, and I had several conversations, and you have too on your site about everybody talks about increasing fishing, increasing the industry, increasing all this whatever.
Take the kids fishing.
But the thing about it is, they're not getting down to the basics. The bottom line, what I'm finding, I've even spoken in front of 1,200 people at a Chicago show on the tank one time, and I was the biggest attended show, and they had some big guys there, but because I talked to the crowd like they were my best friend, I was trying to teach them something rather than try to sell them a product that I was, teach them that, because I realized real quick of the first couple ones I did in front of a live audience, I was talking over their heads. A lot of little things like how to tie a knot, what a lipless is compared to a regular crankbait, stuff like that. So that's where Rick's come up with these boxes and these bags on all levels that you get a good product at a great price. And we have even like the kids make-a-lure box. You could paint. It's got a couple blank crankbaits in it. You can paint kit comes in it.
Yeah.
The paint kit
this
comes
is going
in
to
it.
my niece.
And there you go. It's a great way to introduce somebody. And how cool is that? A kid paints a lure, then they shows off their lure that they created. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My
Future
niece,
bait makers.
My niece, Amelia, is just flat out beyond what I am. She is eaten up with fishing. She gets up every morning. She lives up in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. Every morning she's on the Intercoastal. Every morning before my sister and her husband get up, Amelia's out on the dock fishing. She catches her fish. I've taught her how to do her knots properly. I send her little things. I told her about that, and she has called me every day asking when I'm sending it to her. And I'm like, look, I got to take photos of it first. There's a method to my madness on the closer looks. But I think that is brilliant because the lures are, I guess I could pull one out, but I don't need to. They're clear. They don't have any paint on them. And she's like, I can't wait to do, I want to make a pink lure. And she calls me Uncle Dodo. She's like, Uncle Dodo, I'm going to make a pink one and I'm going to make a green tail. And she has all these ideas on what she wants to do. And I think it's brilliant that Rick and the team came up with that for Monster Bass.
Yeah, they got a little booklet in there, how to do
Yeah.
things, describing what things are. And like, let's go back earlier, not just kids, but there's a lot of guys out there. Let's be blunt. Sometimes the male ego gets in a way in the way of wanting to learn something, and they don't want to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So on all levels,
Yeah,
of fishing.
you're right.
And so, the whole idea is just get people out fishing. And that's what just drives me crazy when I hear people at the big tournaments. We want to increase the market. We want to increase this and that. Well, how about just make it better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Better and easier for people to go fishing. And if you got $100,000 bass boat with all the toys on it, take somebody out in it. Or if you know a special technique, show them. Or if you just got a box of tackle want to go take on the bank fishing, you'd be surprised how many people really don't know how to fish that just want to learn.
You're right. Yeah, you're right on that. I was fishing a new place recently, and there was a young angler a little bit down from me. And as I was casting, and I really wasn't, I guess the best way to say it, I really wasn't fishing. I was kind of just watching what the lure did in the water, one of those kind of things. And he came down and started talking to me, and the next, he's probably 8 or 9 years old. He is telling me all this stuff, and I just kind of listened and just shook my head. Yeah, I know. He's like, I'm teaching you, aren't I? And I said, if you think you are, then you are. It's all right. I don't have an ego. And I think one of the things is we hear all these organizations talk about how they want to grow the sport, but yet they have a $5,000 tournament.
That's the term. That's what I was missing. Grow the sport.
Yeah.
You hear it on all circuits. You hear it on all this stuff.
How do we grow it when we spend $5,000 to be in a tournament?
You grow it by people wanting to watch, and you actually explain excuse me, what is going on and how it's going on. That's over the years, you can see in my back, I have an absolute mess behind me. I've got companies, I've done stuff, I've collected baits, I fished my whole life, and I'm getting close to that 60 mark here. So you waste a lot of money too, because back when we were young, the latest and greatest, the Bassmaster magazine, you couldn't wait to get it. You saw, hell, kids have no idea. So when I was younger, I'd order lures by magazine. You have a little cutout section, and you fill out your order form, send a check, and you wait a month for your stuff to come back. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, that doesn't even work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I say that, and that's the hard part. I'm going down a little rabbit hole here too. And that's the hard part, being a manufacturer or a company, is because some of the best lures are never, ever talked about because everything's so top secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what we're finding out now with forward-facing sonar, with not pros and cons, whatever, we're finding out a lot of stuff that just wasn't true about bass behavior.
Yeah.
And we're also finding out that a lot of stuff, that huge endorsements over time. And that's why I go back to, that's why I love being able to be with Monster Bass, the creative ideas. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just making the wheel better and cheaper and a better quality, because there's been so much stuff out there about, you got to buy this because this person says so. You got to do this because this person says so. And then what I've learned being in the manufacturer side of this whole thing, there's very, very, very few top level pros that anything to do with any of the baits they so-called designs. And don't get me wrong, there's some out there to do a great job with it. I know a lot of them, but there's a lot of them out there don't have the first clue when it comes to R&D, or when it comes to how a bait works underwater, sounds, everything else. So I think we're in the new days of, because of technology, because of the way the internet works, and because of the way everything else works, people can call BS right away. And that's, keep it simple, stupid should be the philosophy growing the sport, that, that moving forward, it should be able to affordable for everybody. And if you just like, life's not fair. It's like, I hear people all the time about these these young kids that are going to the elite series and all this other money that takes mommy and daddy's treasury fund. But that's life. And then the bottom line is, you want to do something, go do it. And I live right next to I live in the racing capital of the world. I worked for an IndyCar team. I've been around. I had 200 race teams in my jurisdiction at one time. From my house, within 10 miles, there's 200 race teams. And what I mean by that is, they don't get on the top level just by not having a chance, or somebody it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of desire. And when you put your name on a car and you give somebody $5-10 million a year sponsorship, that better be the right person, both on the track and off the track.
There's something to be said about off the water. We could have a whole discussion about that probably people might question how you and I feel about some of it, because I think there's just some people that just aren't good for online.
People would lose their minds if I would ever open up and say, and Rick, I don't want to do that to Monsterbass or anybody else, but we've had those candid discussions. I see it, and it's so crazy because people used to think I was crazy talking about this, but there are so many parallels in the racing industry and the fishing industry. And it really, and I'm friends with John Force, and the best drag racer in the history of NHRA, the most wins ever. And I'm friends with all these people. I've known him for 23 years now, and I've got to watch him and be on meetings and what he does. That guy, for 10 years, he started drag racing, never won a race for 10 years, and had no money, and nobody gave him anything. He started with nothing. And now he's got the best team in the history of drag racing, but there's a secret formula in there, some secret sauce in there. It takes money to win, but it also takes off the track activities and being honest with people and represent them well, that carried him through those tough years.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Monsterbass.
Sorry.
So we have
that 3-minute timeout.
It's you and I could talk for like 5 hours on one of these things.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, like I said, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that people probably have no clue about.
That's why I got to get you up to Minnesota. Me and my guys, when we get up there, we spend more time on the deck looking at the lake, talking about fishing lures and all this stuff than we do actually on the water, just because it's so much. It's what we do. You know what I mean?
You and I have been fishing and made 10 casts in 2 hours because we're sitting there talking about everything but fishing.
And that's what everybody loses, track of. I get after it hard, and I love fishing, and I'll be out there 10, 12 hours a day. But there's certain times I'm like, it's not just about catching. It's about the experience.
You're 100% correct. Okay, so we have rods, we have reel. Are they going to do reels at some point in time?
They offer some on the side, but they're not ours. I don't.
Okay.
I got my opinions on that, and I don't think there's any idea of doing that in the near future.
Okay, so you got rods, you have the sleeves, you got the tackle, you got tackle storage, you have a lot of terminal tackle, you have tungsten and hooks and plastic stuff. Now, under the umbrella of Monsterbass is now Grande Bass too, which is right down there. It's part of the thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
When did Rick start with? When did he purchase Grande Bass? And there's a ton of new stuff that I've got that is coming out with underwater stuff. But what's the goal with the Grande Bass?
To grow it. It used to be a very good company, had a large footprint throughout the country, and that's part of Rick's idea too. And the marketing aspect of it with Grande Bass, bring light to Monsterbass. You know what I mean? But he purchased that, I think, over a year, less than 2 years ago, I believe. And he's done a lot with it, and he's already had a network. And then he bought it to rebrand it, if you will, but keep the same name. And it had a great following. It has great baits.
Great baits.
And so he's expanding on that already with it. And that, I think now Grande Bass, we're in 110 stores across 120 stores throughout the country, and growing. They're at Tackle Warehouse too. And I think I'm going down this JDM rabbit hole again if we don't be careful. But a lot of the stuff that you see at Grande Bass was original and thought provoking and how they did it. And you're going to see a lot of other companies that have already done it that look very similar. And trust me, the Grande is the original.
Well, the Grande, it's a great product.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think you sent me a bunch of packs. I put them all in the water. I fished with them. I love that they have those different ridges. I don't even know what you want to call them. Sometimes you call them, I wouldn't call them appendages, but they have the ridges where they hold like the air bubble.
The ribs, yeah.
The ribs, yes. So when you bounce it off the bottom or you rig it differently, you get those little bubbles which do attract bites. And there's just a lot of great colors, and the product lasts. Like you and I have talked about this. There was a group of guys that did a soft plastic thing 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, whenever it was. But every time you used one of them and got one bite, the bait was dead. You replaced every time you got a bite. You don't have that problem with Grande Bass at all.
We can go. Yeah, I was accused one time of for designing a bait for another manufacturer of copying a Japanese company, and I said, "Oh, that's funny stuff right there. I know exactly where that so-called Japanese company got their mold from." you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, those are made in America. Grande Bass. They're out of Texas. They offer some really cool stuff, neat baits, and I started messing around. We got a new one called a Rattletail Shad.
Yep.
If you like, this thing can do everything. It's forward-facing sonar. You can be using a trailer on a chatterbait, spinnerbait. You can Texas rig it, but I really like it on back of a scrounger head. And I come down and see you this winter. We're going to have some of those things tied on for that shallow, murky water down there, and I think we're going to light them up with it.
I've been using it on a shaky head.
Shaky head, that'll work.
Little bit different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I wanted the tail to be more on an angle than flat. Does that make sense?
With that hinge on there, I took that up to Minnesota here in October. Yeah, October. And I put it on the back of a scrounger head. Them fish lost their minds over that thing.
Yeah. And you guys have them in 2 different sizes too.
Just one big one right now, the 5-inch.
Yeah, I might be thinking of the other one. There's a bigger and smaller one. I don't know but
it's a shad looking bait, and it really does. Go check them out at grandebass.com. It's called the Rattletail Shad. They're selling really good too for a reason, and that's one thing. They're $7 a pack, a full pack, and that's what I love about going to work for Rick. It's kind of like the other companies I was with, where right out of the package, it's not this 3 for $10 crap. Whether it be plastics, and then the hard baits, we hardly have anything over $10.
Yeah.
In our line of products, we do have some that are higher dollar, but it's very expensive to make.
Yeah, I have one. I think this is the new one.
The grass burner.
The grass burner.
That
hard to see with that glare. I'm looking forward to putting this one in the top.
I got one out of the package for you.
Yeah. Love that.
I know that'll work down there where you're at.
Yes, it will.
You can fish that, not to take the place of the Whopper Plopper. My buddy Larry would get mad at me if I said that. But you can fish it alongside it. I almost like category of a Whopper Plopper, if that makes sense. Where this is a full body bait with 2 big treble hooks on it and has a skirt. And what we've done is put the buzz bait blade, which we painted each blade too.
Yeah.
And it makes that you can sit, walk, you do all kinds of things with that. Plus I can skip this thing. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then we're already got word from Rick where it's doing so well. We're coming out with a smaller version very soon. It is a big bait, weighs 7/8 of an ounce, but I've seen small fish. Some of the fish, it's just something new and different for the fish to look at. And does, like I said, wherever you fish a Whopper Plopper, I'd fish that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
great sound with it too.
Sound and it just the action and everything else going on in it does really, really well. But it retails for $18. But again, right now you go on a website, you get a hell of a deal on it.
Yeah. Actually, if you sign, you can go to the website, you can go to monsterbass.com. There's a little button on the bottom. I guess that would be left-hand corner. You click on it and you instantly get 15% off. So that's not bad either.
Right now on the website, it's 40% off.
Is it really?
Yep.
So you get one for $10,
Yep.
give or take. Now, what else do they have coming out that we're allowed to talk about and not get in trouble?
Well, I could talk about a lot of things, whether or not what level of trouble you want to get on.
I don't
Here.
need Rick calling me and complaining and yelling at us.
No, there's nothing top secret.
I know. I'm joking.
We've got a ton of products coming in that are already in. Then we have, I think I counted 15 new products coming by end of January, or it's trickling in as we talk. And there's one of them right here. This is an existing bait they already have. It's called a Little Banger, right?
Yeah.
This is actually a color that Debo came up with.
Oh, nice.
Right? And that's the only color left. We came out, and what's really cool about Rick having the boxes and everything else, we get to try out and test stuff with people. We put things in boxes, see what people like, or we just do a temporary, like a one-off type of thing. And this was one of them. Came out with 4 colors, and they sold. And I told Rick, and on the evaluation of product I told you about earlier, I looked at this thing. It goes about 2 foot deep. It's silent again. Remember me in silent baits. And you can just burn the hell out of it. Down there where you live in that shallow water, you can just burn. I use an 8-to-1 gear ratio as fast as I go, and it does not turn over on itself. So this is one of them. I got 8 new colors. We just finalized everything. The production is done, and then they're waiting to paint them right now. I came up with 8 new colors for this Little Banger, and it fits alongside our bigger one called the Banger itself. It's full size, square bill. This moves a lot of water, a little bigger. You can see the size comparison of them.
I like that red hook in the front.
And then this is one of the colors I told them to continue on with the Little Banger. It's called Sexy Cracks.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good looking color. I
got a Gizzard Shad coming out. It's phenomenal. We got just some very, very cool colors coming out in the near future. That's a big deal. You know, we got great spinner baits right now. We got just all kinds of. We got the tackle boxes you talked about too. Is the different technique specific boxes.
Yeah.
We're working on a lot of the spinner baits we got now are great, but we're improving a couple colors here real soon. Just a lot of neat stuff coming out that's going to be really. We got 2 sizes of jerk baits going to be out very, very soon. Just finalized the colorways on that here a week or 2 ago. And what we've done, I told Rick, is Rick's got a good eye for colors and what sells and stuff too. But I got on the phone with a lot of people over my contacts throughout the last, I've been hard to believe I've been in the industry 15 years altogether now, that I've talked to people and I've talked to big store owners, big chain. What's your top selling colors in these areas and why? Then I talked to tournament guys from Minnesota to Texas to Florida. And I think we got a good combination of stuff coming that'll work anywhere, colorways and why, you don't have to get crazy like some of these companies and create 100 colors. Stick to the basics and make them better. But people don't understand sometimes is when you create colorways in the baits, it's just not about the overall color. It's what base layers are in it, how the color shifts when it moves and things like that. And that's why I talked to Rick quite a bit about, and he responded well to some of the comments I made to him about, we look at belly colors. A lot of fish feed up, on crankbaits and especially jerk baits. They're not looking down at them. So it's important. As you know, I got a 40-foot pool in the backyard, 8 foot deep, that I've done a lot of testing in. I've sat in the bottom of the weights and listen and watch colors. And then I do a lot of reading. There's been a lot of studies done on reaction from fish and also color studies here. University of Notre Dame just published an article here this last year about how fish, bass in particular, eyes actually work. And then they did a study on shark attacks from the Navy as well. Worked with the Navy on what triggers strikes and why, sound frequencies and different things. So if you put all that together, and we're doing all that development and research on our own and still bring you a crankbait, it's $9.
Yeah. How
which
hard
is
is it to
really
make the color to figure out the colors that people want?
that's the trick again. What I think they want and what sell or what works may not sell the best, you know?
Yeah.
So at the same time, you got to stick to it and let people know and make them aware that, yeah, you can catch fish with this. And yes, it does work and the reasons why. And then you also got to listen to the consumer because I fish different than you do, or the guy down the road may like a certain color. So that's the hard part. You got to provide everything that the consumer wants. And then but the biggest thing I see in selling any bait and color wise is the quality of the paint, the quality of, not just one color over the top of another, make an outline and run. This ain't Walmart.
Mhm.
You know. So I think the trick is layerings and using the pearls and colors like that, with have pearls in them and different things, and then also how good of a process your painter does, and if he knows how to fade paints and do things like that, that's important.
Yeah.
Because you look at, I had a rule of thumb whether I create a spinnerbait color or a crankbait color, minimum of 3 base colors in my eyes, because you look at it, you look at nature, and you take a picture of any bait fish you ever want to look at, or even a bass or whatever the target is. There's always 3 colors in them. There's not just 2 colors. And that's what they see a lot of times. It could be a little hue of this, a little hue of that. But like the belly of most fish, if not all in nature, is a lot lighter than the top of the bait
Mhm.
for that very reason. Because when they know when predators look up at them, they see that. When they look down at them, they see the clear sky and the water. So they look up at a different color. When you look down at them, it's a darker color.
Yeah.
So if you key into some of those things, and fish are creatures of habit too, looking for certain things, but it doesn't have to be exact color; just has to be the right match. Or
Yeah.
color changes and things like that. Sometimes you can just go out there with a fluorescent red or a pink, with no color, and it'll catch fish. I'm talking about being specific to a body of water, or what bait fish are chasing, because these fish are getting so pressured anymore. Sometimes that makes a difference.
Yeah. You know me. I like the dark colors quite a bit. I will say
Yep.
I've had of all the times I've been fishing, I've only had one time where I actually thought I couldn't explain what was going on for me to catch fish. And just to be quick about it, we were up in Georgia and we were on a private pond. We were staying in a cabin and we were having, I went and I started fishing and I brought, everything with me. And I got there and couldn't catch a fish. And for 6 days, I tried every color, everything. And then I talked to some local at Walmart and he's like, "Why aren't you using purple?" And I laughed at him. I thought, I will never use a purple lure in my life. And then, of course, I think Thomas bought a pack of purple swim baits. And no joke, as soon as the bait hit the water and fell down, we caught fish. And we caught fish for 3 straight days. And the only thing they would bite was this purple lure. And it made 0 sense to me. But I've always wondered how you pick colors and stuff like that. But it's another one of those topics that are great. So you have the grande bass, you have monster bass, you have all these new products, great prices, great time to get some fantastic deals at monsterbass.com.
I'm good. I appreciate the time, bud. We're going to get in the boat together here soon. And, I'm, by the way, not going north. I'm going south this winter. So, hopefully in the area where you live, it's a hell of a lot warmer than it is right here right now.
Yeah, we've got some fishing. We've got a little fishing trip excursion to handle. Well, it's north of me. You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's still a lot further south than I am.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for the time. Everyone go to monsterbass.com.
All right, bud.